Hi guys, welcome back to Alamat, where we translate and narrate Philippine myths, urban legends, and horror stories to share with the world. Our tale for this week is about weird experiences that our author had when her friend asked her for help for her growing business. This tale is called Ukay Ukay True Horror Story. My name is Jackie, and this story happened some time ago. It all started when my friend Rowena asked me to help her in her Ukay Ukay business. Her business is making a substantial amount of money and she needed help in scaling it up. Tons of second-hand garments are being shipped to her by her suppliers. She needed the extra hand to sort it all out. Rowena is my high school batchmate, and ever since, we already knew that she would hit it big because she's very wise when it comes to dealing with her finances. I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit jealous of what she had achieved so far, but nonetheless, I'm always happy for her. I came in at her shop the very next day and we started sorting the garments inside the boxes. Some items needed repair, some needed cleaning, while some are in pristine condition, that it was ready to be sold then and there. We would hang those in hangers and immediately put them on display. The next day, I opened the box labeled San Isidro Funeral Parlor. I was honestly perplexed about this, so I asked Rowena what this is all about. Rowena explained to me that funeral parlors are some of her cheapest vendors of used clothes. She detailed that when people die, the clothes that they are wearing are discarded when their relatives bring clothes that they would want their loved ones to wear in the funeral. Instead of discarding those clothes, funeral parlors are selling them at a very cheap price. I gasped as Rowena was explaining this. I took one piece of clothing from this box and I could see that there were hints of blood on some of them. Oh yeah, we need to wash those shirts that have some blood in them, Rowena casually told me. Although I don't mind doing this, after all, I'm being paid to do this. But it honestly is very disturbing to know that these are taken from the dead. I decided to ignore this feeling and took those garments to the washing area. I brought the clothes that had blood in them to the washing machine. As I was putting the soap in the soap bin, when I suddenly felt something or someone was watching me. All of the hair on my neck stood up. I stopped what I was doing and scanned the surroundings. There was no one around. Strange. This was the first time that this happened to me. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Is everything alright? Rowena suddenly spoke. Jesus, you scared me, I replied as I clutched my chest. How long have you been there? I asked. Just now. I saw you standing there like you've seen a ghost. That's why I asked. Rowena explained as she dumped some more clothes in the bin. It's nothing, maybe your story about the clothes got to me. I shook my head and continued what I was doing. The next day was a busy day. The shop was teeming with buyers. After a lull in the customers, I excused myself for a toilet break. Immediately as I entered the comfort room, I could feel that the atmosphere was very heavy. I felt heavy negative emotions, sadness, hatred, and fear. I hesitated for a minute. I thought of going back to the store, but decided against it. Because it would be awkward if I asked for a toilet break again later. I went inside the cubicle and locked the door. I cringed when the light flickered, but I shook it off. Not long after that, I swear I could hear whispers and indistinct voices all around me. It was too much for me. I quickly went back to the store. That was quick, Rowena quipped. Wang, I feel something weird in here. I was perspiring as I said that. Rowena looked at me intently. So, you felt it too? She spoke without breaking her eye contact with me. I was honestly surprised by her answer. She told me that she also experienced eerie things ever since she sourced clothes from the funeral parlor, especially at night. For example, She sometimes sees smoke that immediately dissipates when noticed. Hanging clothes would be moved to different places when she returned in the morning. She also confessed that these are actually all the reasons why she decided to hire someone. It's not because she couldn't handle the work, but because she needed someone to accompany her. "Don't worry, we're in this together," I assured her. The next day started without so much happening for the whole day. But around 9 p.m., when we were about to close shop, we encountered the most unforgettable haunting in our lives. Rowena was counting money on the counter while I was cleaning the floor of the shop, when I felt the atmosphere became chilly. It was very unusual because Rowena's shop didn't have any air conditioner. I looked at Rowena to check if she felt it too, but before I could take a good look at her, the light of the shop suddenly flickered and turned off. Rowena gave out a shriek, followed by an involuntary expletive on her part. "Brownout?" I asked Rowena. She looked outside and saw that the power interruption only happened in the shop. "No, maybe one of our electronic gadgets tripped the switch," she replied as she picked up a flashlight behind the counter and pointed it at the switch box behind the back door. We both approached the switch box. Rowena placed a stool and stood on it while I held her hips for support. Before she could flick the switch, we heard a loud scream on the far side of the shop near the main entrance. Rowena almost fell off the chair. She was just lucky that I was there to stabilize her. "What the hell was that?" Rowena pointed her flashlight in the direction of the scream. "Flick the switch, quick," I said as I tugged on Rowena's hips. Rowena quickly pointed her flashlight to the power switch that tripped, and electricity was restored on the shop. Afterward, we both held each other's hand as we carefully made our way to check where the scream came from. As I suspected, there was nobody there. I got a bad feeling about this. I held Rowena's hand with both hands and told her that something supernatural was happening. She looked at me and nodded. We were about to go back to the cash register when the light flickered again. This was followed by items being flung everywhere, as if some invisible entities were tossing them around randomly. Rowena and I ran towards the cash register and cowered. Both of us were praying for any saint that we could remember. I could smell a very foul smell emanating from everywhere in the store. Rowena obviously could smell it as well, because she vomited and started crying. I couldn't stand it anymore. I wanted to run, but I couldn't leave Rowena there all by herself. I slowly stood up and tried to pull Rowena's hand, begging her to run outside. That was when I saw Rowena's head suddenly jerk backward as if somebody punched her. Blood suddenly oozed out of her nose. This made Rowena scream and cry harder. I didn't know what was happening, but whatever that was, it was getting violent. I was afraid to stay any longer to find out how violent this haunting could be. I used all my force to pull Rowena to the back door. At first, she was hesitating, but when another phantom slap landed on her cheek, she ran straight outside, dragging me in the process. When I looked back, pockets of fire started from every corner of the shop. I tried to turn back to put out the fire, but Rowena pulled my hand and shook her head as tears fell from her eyes. We kept running. My friend's Ukay Ukay shop was razed to the ground by the fire. It was a miracle that none of the neighboring shops beside it was damaged. Rowena told me that she promised herself that she wouldn't get involved in that kind of business ever again. What do you guys think of this week's story? If you have any experience similar to this one, most especially if you frequent thrift shops, write them down below in the comment section. If you're enjoying the content so far, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this to your friends and family. If you have a story that you would want me to narrate, send them over at mralamatph@gmail.com. Salamat guys, and see you in the next one.